Welcome back to HM and Big E Review Things. Today we have another entry in our Are You Kidding segment. And we're looking at two kids' movies that we saw this past week. Yeah. What did you watch?
Bubbles.
Bubbles.
Not The Bubble. You can check out a review there.
Oh,
but
don't.
the Japanese anime Bubble.
On Netflix. Bubble, Netflix. And I watched The Bad Guys in theaters with my kids. Mm-hmm. Bubble.
Well, it's a Japanese anime, hand-drawn. So visually it's very, very good. It's basically a tale of a futuristic Tokyo where, and it's going to sound strange when I say it, bubbles descend onto the city and flood the city, changing the
gravity or something.
Gravity,
right? Yeah, I read the synopsis.
The gravitational forces of Tokyo. And Tokyo, out of all cities, is engulfed in a gigantic bubble.
Okay.
So these bubbles settle and it creates this watery liquid stuff. But the gravitational forces are changed. So basically you cannot live in Tokyo anymore. Everybody leaves, but a ragtag group of teenagers, they decide to stay. And all these teenagers form little teams and they do parkour exercises and parkour courses. And the winners get glory and fame, or sort of fame, and food and rations.
I see.
So it's a strange movie.
It's a strange kids movie about a post-apocalyptic wasteland where they're doing parkour to survive.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yes. So the main character is a kind of a parkour bubble prodigy.
Okay.
Who has very sensitive ears. He hears a lot of stuff. So he puts on these headphones all the time.
Okay.
And he is always winning these guys, the rations and things like that. But on one of his runs, he falls, and it's going to sound even more strange. Bubbles form a young woman. And this young woman joins their team and helps them win parkour exercises. She's even better than him.
Because she's made of bubbles.
Yeah,
or
but
she's a person.
She's a person.
She just happens to have been birthed
from bubbles.
Immaculate conception from a bubble.
From bubbles, yes.
Okay.
And so that's a story. And visually it's a very beautiful movie.
Yeah.
Incredibly, stylized and visual. And the parkour scenes are very cool. Running through Tokyo, jumping on bubbles, avoiding dangerous situations. It's cool. It's not a very long movie, clocking in about 1 hour and 40 minutes. So it's the only issue I have with this movie is really the story, and the characters needed more development. Aside from this fantastical, imagery and I don't really know where the characters grew. So yeah, that's my biggest complaint with this movie. It's like, really cool visuals, but what is going on in the story? What are these characters doing? Now, I understand some of their motivations, but there's a lot of characters, and even the main two characters, it's like, okay. And maybe I'm lost a little bit because of the Japanese storytelling. When you watch some of the Studio Ghibli, it's not this ABC plot in Western storytelling. But even so, I was a little bit confused at the end. Okay, it ended.
I mean, the most recent Japanese animated movie I saw was Your Name.
That's a great movie.
It is a great movie.
You need to check that one.
That's what I was thinking about in terms of you're saying it's kind of beautiful looking and that kind of
stuff. But that had a story, an arc, and consequences.
Also non-linear storytelling.
But I knew exactly what was happening. Okay. This one is like, I don't know if I should do a spoiler warning, but at the end of this movie, she dissipates into bubbles again.
I see.
And I guess the message might be like enjoying a moment in time. And I have with me the Little Mermaid here. And this is not the Disney Little Mermaid. This is the original
Hans Christian Andersen.
That's right. And in this fairy tale, if you know the ending, she turns into some kind of foam thing at the end too. So
she isn't able to break the curse in time.
She wasn't part of his world.
That's right, and she turns into sea foam on the water.
So I think they base some of it off this story, where it's a fleeting moment in time, but you enjoy the moment.
Right.
She dissipates, and you're left with this idea of like, oh, was it imaginary or
Okay.
That's The Bubble.
The Bubble.
Sorry.
No, not The Bubble. Bubble.
Bubble.
What is your grade on Netflix's Bubble? Not Netflix's The Bubble.
I'll give it a B, not because it's B for Bubble, but because of these character issues.
You just can't stop alliterating.
So yeah, I'll give it a B.
Okay.
I think it's worth watching if your kids are
Well, that's the other question for the Are You Kidding? That's how we end these segments.
Right.
Well, you watched it with your kids?
I did, and my whole family.
Your whole family?
My dog, Scout.
And your dog, okay. Did your kids like it?
They were confused at the end as well. They felt like, where was the resolution and what was this trying to get at?
Okay.
So even kids,
Yeah. And then would adults like it then?
again, so for the same reason, visually really nice. Music is great. They hire some of the top-notch Japanese bands to do the music, so it's got the anime, music. It's really, really hard to put my finger on what was really going on here.
Okay. So that's Netflix's Bubble. A average, kind of confusing.
There are a
movie.
lot more better
Japanese
anime.
Yeah.
Studio Ghibli,
Yes.
but the animation is very good.
Good. So it's Netflix's Bubble.
Now you watch The Bad Guys.
I did. The Bad Guys I watched with my kids, and it's based off of a series of books
That's right.
where I guess the main conceit is these are the bad guys in fairy tales and in stories, right?
So who are the bad guys? There's
The bad guys
Mr.
is
Wolf.
Mr. Wolf. There is Snake.
Is it literally?
I don't think it's Mr. I think it's just Wolf.
Snake.
Like it's the big bad wolf. He is the big bad wolf. They just call him Wolf. And then there's Snake. There's Tarantula, which is called Webs. They call Webs. There's Shark, and there's Piranha.
No, are these part of certain stories, or they just? I know the big bad wolf character of it.
I think the other ones are just kind of
Generic.
scary, generic animals that people are scared of.
All right, so they go and.
I sum up this movie in the sentence: it's Zootopia meets Ocean's 11,
okay.
which sounds
So it's
okay.
a heist movie.
It's a heist movie, and it kind of leans very heavily into the heist tropes.
Yep.
And especially for the adults watching, they reference Clooney, so it's very obviously, and there's, the introduction of each character and what they do and the heist kind of sounding music. But the main conceit is, so that's the heist part, which is the Ocean's 11 part. The Zootopia part is kind of, they're exploring whether the bad guys can become good guys and kind of that nature of,
Now, in the world, are they all animals?
It's really weird that no, they're not.
So the humans.
There
but
are
these
humans,
guys,
but these guys are the animals, and then there are also non-sentient animals.
Oh, I don't like that.
It's really weird. So there's guinea pigs, but there's also a guinea pig that talks.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. It's like the Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, and
Pluto.
Pluto.
Yeah, and then
okay.
okay, but I enjoyed this movie. My kids obviously really enjoyed it. My kids are on the younger side, and so they find it really funny that when Piranha gets nervous, he farts and it's toxic, or so that they're at that level kind of humor. But they also really like there's some of the heisty parts and some of the characters and the designs. I was drawn to this movie because I thought the character designs were quite nice, and the animation style reminds me actually mostly of Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, okay.
In terms of just a little bit of that cel shading 2D, 3D kind of effect. But what really kind of put it over when my kids said they wanted to watch it, actually I suggested for them to watch it, was the voice actors. You have Sam Rockwell.
Yep.
You
Great
have
actor.
Aquafina,
Yep.
which you have Craig Robinson,
Yes.
Daryl from The Office.
Yep.
You have Richard Iowade from the IT crowd and from a bunch of stuff. But super Anthony Ramos. And then I forgot Snake. Snake is a famous actor too. I apologize. But these are all very recognizable, unique voices, and they're playing these bad guys who are trying to be good. And basically, can you really fight your nature of being bad? Which they explore in Zootopia. They explore in Wreck-It Ralph. They've done all this stuff before, so none of it is original. You're not seeing anything in this movie that you haven't seen before. That's going to be like, oh, that's really clever.
Right.
But it hits all the beats. The humor, there's humor kind of for the kids and there's humor for the adults. It's animated beautifully. The character designs are very, very good. And they're good looking characters. It tells a simple enough story, I guess.
How long is this movie?
An hour and 40 minutes.
Okay, that's a nice sweet
kids
spot.
movie. Yeah, I'm glad it didn't drag out. But basically, like, you've seen enough movies. If you watch this, first 10 minutes, you're going to know kind of exactly where this film is going. You're going to be able to predict every kind of twist and, turn. And obviously my kids were surprised. Oh, I didn't know that X happens here, and this was such a surprise. It was kind of odd. But that's okay. I mean, as a kid's movie, I'm not...
It sounds like, as an adult, you enjoyed this movie. So would you recommend it for adults?
I would.
Okay.
I would, especially if you do like heist movies and that genre. It's not trying anything new. You're not going to see anything new, but heist movies are they're fun.
And obviously kids going to like this.
Kids definitely will like it. This is a tick for me for the Are You Kidding segment.
What's your final grade then?
My final grade on this is a B+.
Okay.
Which is pretty high because because it doesn't introduce anything creative or super original, I can't give it an A. The best kids movies are telling something so incredibly it's a new perspective. It's something, the Nemos of the world, the Toy Stories of the world. It's so creative. Incredibles. And it's telling you a story that kind of lasts with you. This story doesn't really last with you, but it's really, really entertaining to watch. It's just fun. This is kind of what I think of when I think of a fun family movie.
And that's what I'm looking for as a parent is that I'm going to watch the movie and not roll my eyes, fall asleep, and think, oh my goodness, I'm just here because my kids need supervision, right?
Right, and this is by Dreamworks, and they've been hit or miss in the past.
Oh, yeah.
So some of their stuff have been that kind of eye-rolling, falling asleep kind of thing, and this isn't that. So,
Good to know that there's a few choices out there that I can watch as well.
Yes. So that's our segment of Are You Kidding? Have you seen it? Let us know what you think. Let us know what you think of what we think. Until next episode, keep watching things.
And please like and subscribe to our channel. Thanks so much.